say, if an army invades a country and kills people, this is a genocide. If they kill each other for honor, then it's legitimate. But the action of killing is still the same, namely, the victim is always dead, there is no doubt about it. So is the nature of violence the reason that wars are going on, or is it that there are weapons available for people to kill others with? Or would people kill each other in any case, whether they had weapon or not? And at what level would this killing take place? One very important factor is, of course, legality. The lives of some people are obviously more valuable than the lives of others. Those poor people in Darfur, nobody cares about them, they are nothing, they are nobody, they don't even have a land registry, they're just peasants. Armies don't really care, chasing them away, killing them and resettling somebody else, because there is no value to their life. If a child is born in the UK or in a Western civilized nation, it immediately gets a legal identity. But if a child is born in a poor country or a third world country, this child is often nothing. Often if it's a girl, it doesn't even get a name, and it just doesn't exist legally. It doesn't have no paper, no account. It's a nothing, no entity at all. And if it dies, it really doesn't matter anywhere. It's just a matter between itself and its mother. So what we need to do is add value to a person's life. Give each person who is born in this world anywhere a legal identity and make them count. And if each country in the world has legislation imposed upon them to keep book, to register, to health care for, to have a minimum standard of life, each person has the right of a dwelling or land or food every day, and the law has to supply this, then the situation worldwide would be different. People would have rights, and they would have a reason to try and defend them on a local, national and international basis. Just imagine what our life would be like if we stopped exploiting poorer nations. If they all had a minimum wage, our products would be much more expensive and we could not just go to the supermarket and buy it for a few pennies. So a lot of people are already unwilling to buy fair trade because it's more expensive than the cheapest product in the shop. We need to send negotiators to each corner of the world and tell each government that we give them help and aid in exchange for them imposing certain minimum standards for each one of their population. They are free to pray to any god they like, they are free to continue their culture. All we want is certain minimum standards of equal rights, no forced circumcision of women, health treatment for everybody, and so forth. Because as long as we don't do this, we cannot seriously make anybody believe that we want to stop exploiting, murdering, and running other nations over and do with them as we like. When I walk along my local high street here in London, I see so much fruit, food, it's impossible for people to eat that much. So much goes off supermarkets, so much food away, while other nations who actually produce this food have to starve because they export it to us. Now it would be a simple and easy thing to do to just give it back to these people. Send a ship full of food, a helicopter full of food. How about one of those celebrities making the helicopter available to fly one helicopter load full of food to a starving area and drop it onto these people so they have something to eat? But no, our society works on enslavement and dependency. I ask myself, if I walk along my road, why are those trees not fruit trees? They could be cherry trees, apple trees, pear trees. We could just go around, pick berries from the bushes, pick fruit from the trees, maybe like paradise was intended to be, but no, there are oak trees, fir trees, all kinds of trees, but nothing edible. Now why aren't we made independent as possible to eat food where we can? Because we are being repressed with not getting food easily, with having to pay for food. During the 50s, 60s and 70s, in Germany and maybe also in the rest of Europe, farmers were actually paid to stop farming and to make farming more available to larger farmers, and the small farmers just to give up their livestock and their land, to stop growing their own food. People used to flock more and more into the cities, and those people in the cities, they cannot grow their own food. First of all, they don't have the land, nor they have the space. They have to go to a shop to buy the food. The same is happening now in Darfur. Settled farmers have been driven from their land, and they're being replaced by animal farmers who just need the land for grazing. They've been driven away from their farming land, which would make them independent because they can grow their own food, and they're being settled somewhere in camps and outside of Sudan, and other people are being driven in who then just use the land for farming cattle for export to Egypt and the surrounding nations. This division of organizing our society into farming, industry, shipping, administration, etc., makes our governments more and more powerful, because we depend on others to get what we need to get our complete life together. And because we are not independent in our food production and how we can acquire food, we depend on society as a whole. And because we are so dependent on buying our food, our bargaining power is very, very much diminished. What can we bargain with? I can't say, all right, do what you like, I just don't care what you do. I just get myself a potato out of the garden and I cook it, and I don't really need you at all. Because I need to be able to get the money to go to the shop and buy my potato. We are being told that being a farmer is poverty. It's a bad lifestyle, it's undesirable, it's just not in, and it's not the thing to be. We have to have technical gadgets, we have to live in a town, we have to be able to go to the supermarket, and that is wealth. And being just a poor farmer that lives off the land is the worst job in the world. But just imagine each one of us had an acre of land, and we could just grow our own food crops, live off that land, have a few animals, we milk them. We would be much less dependent on the government, and we could just tell them up. So what? They would have no power over us whatsoever, and I don't think they would like that at all. Now our new world order is going to get rid of the biggest landmass on the earth, which is China, and which was mainly populated by independent peasant farmers who didn't need to buy their food but grew it for themselves. What have the Chinese to do? They have to stop farming, they have to go into the cities, they have to start enslaving themselves on production lines to help us to get cheap clothing garments and cheap consumer products, and they had to surrender their independent farmer's life for that purpose. But what we need is a world full of independent people. We don't need a world full of slaves who lose their rights more and more by the day and by the minute because they are dependent on each other and have to buy their food. I would say yes and greet with open arms any new world order that would give each person on this planet a certain amount of land that they can farm and grow food independently. But I would not say yes to any new world order that would enslave groups of populations to produce things for others, taking away their rights and reduce their bargaining powers.